After participating in the very first batch of Y Combinator, I almost sold my company to Yahoo for $1 million. Then, they straight up ghosted me. Here's the story.
How's it going? I'm Justin Khan from Justin.tv.
What's up, YouTube? It's Justin Khan, your favorite founder's favorite founder. Smash subscribe and bang that bell and I'll be your best friend forever. All right, where were we? We had just raised $60,000 in an angel round out of the first YC batch ever, and we were off to the races building our startup Kiko calendar. We built a pretty good app, and over the next couple months, we even hired a couple engineers to work with us on it. These were our first employees ever. And then Yahoo came calling. In 1998, Paul Graham sold via web to Yahoo for $50 million, an enormous sum that grew even larger as Yahoo's stock skyrocketed during the year following his acquisition. In late 2005, through his Yahoo connections, Paul arranged for several Yahoo execs to meet with each of his YC companies. Theoretically, the aim was to scope out some potential partnership deals, but the real intention was that Paul wanted to matchmake a quick acquisition or two. Emmett and I met the three Yahoo execs that came by, and to our great surprise, they seemed interested in what we were doing. Google had just come out with Gmail the year prior, and Gmail was much better than Yahoo's email offering. Yahoo was playing catch up. Yahoo had also almost certainly heard the rumors that we had, that Google would soon be releasing a calendar, and they were looking to beef up that department as well. So pretty soon after that first meeting, Yahoo's corporate development team was calling us. Corporate development are the people inside companies responsible for buying other companies. They wanted us to come in and do a full-fledged interview. We were 22 and extremely excited. So we flew out from Boston to the Bay Area. The interview process took 2 days and consisted of a half a dozen sessions each day with different members of the communications team. The communications team at Yahoo was the group that ran email, calendar, and messenger. The people we met were friendly, and we got a very pleasant tour of the Yahoo campus, including all the legendary and mostly unused Silicon Valley perks, like the full gym and sand volleyball court. Both were empty when we walked past. They asked us what we planned to build on the product side, what we thought the important features of a web calendar were, what our product roadmap was, and how we expected to integrate social features into a calendar to make it more useful. And then they did something really clever, which we probably should not have agreed to. They split Emmett and I up and interviewed us separately about coding. Now, this was a problem. I'd learned a thing or two about hacking up websites over the previous year, but to be honest, I was still a pretty shitty programmer. I could barely do the job I was claiming to do. I relied on Emmett for a lot of help with my code, by which I mean he often parachuted in at the end and rewrote the complex, important parts of the project. Had I walked in the front door, I definitely could not have secured a job programming at Google or even Yahoo. When Emmett and I left the Yahoo campus, we weren't very sure how it went. I didn't mention that I was fairly certain my part of the coding interviews had fucked the whole thing up for the both of us. As the next couple weeks unfolded without a single word from anyone at Yahoo, it seemed like I was correct. A full month after our visit, however, we received incredible news. Through the absolute incompetence of the interviewers, Yahoo's sheer desperation to produce some answer to Google, or just dumb luck, they called us and told us that Yahoo was interested in buying our company. When they called us, I was shocked, unprepared, and very underqualified to negotiate. The last negotiation of consequence that I had ever entered was probably convincing my mom to buy me a Super Nintendo. The conversation with Ken, the guy from Corp Dev, went something like this. Justin, we're really interested in what you're doing, and we want to buy you guys and get you on the team. Oh my God, that's awesome. So how much are you guys expecting? Now, Emmett and I had already discussed this briefly and agreed that if we could each get $1 million for a combined total of over $2 million for the company, that would be an incredible result for our first year out of school. This is me, furiously second-guessing myself. $2 million. How about $1 million? Of course, amazing. Deal. Awesome. I got to circle up with some people here and I'm going to get you paperwork tomorrow. That was the plan and it looked like we were about to make it. We were ecstatic. I'd conducted the worst negotiation of my entire life, but it was still $1 million. And of course, that turned out to be completely irrelevant because that was the last time we ever heard from Ken on the subject. He agreed to buy our company and then straight ghosted us. Weeks went by and we wondered, agonized, over whether Kent would eventually get back to us. Finally, I shot him a quick email to check in on the status of the deal. I got a vague response. Hey Justin, I'm just circling up with executive schedules and I'm pretty optimistic. So hang on. And then radio silence. Paul Graham is fond of saying deals fall through. In essence, this means that companies are influenced by so many different political and economic factors that things can change very quickly. Deals can disappear into thin air, and that's what happened to our Yahoo deal. I was devastated. One moment, I thought I was getting a super big payday a year out of college. That's how the story was supposed to go. Young founders launch a startup, get some users, and then exit to a big company and ride off into the sunset as famous entrepreneurs. We were so close, I could almost taste it. It was everything I wanted, and then nothing. After the episode with Yahoo, Emmett and I were crushed. In our minds, we'd gone from broke entrepreneurs to overnight millionaires. And then we'd slowly realized that we were still broke entrepreneurs. We thought missing out on the Yahoo deal was the worst thing that could happen to us. But little did we know that the worst thing was around the corner. Now, there had long been rumors that Google was working on a calendar accompaniment to Gmail. It didn't take a genius to figure out these rumors were probably true. Microsoft Hotmail and Yahoo Mail both had calendar applications. We had a connection to Google through Chris Sacca, a Google exec who had spoken at a YC event back in 2005. Sacca connected me with Google's corporate development, who asked me to come in and talk to their team. Now, talking to Google was completely different from talking to Yahoo. At Yahoo, the engineers and product people were transparent about their innovation challenges, future roadmaps, and ideas of how Emmett and I might fit into the team. When we came into Google, we felt as if they were just pumping us for information. They quizzed us about every aspect of Kiko and the reasons behind it, while half the people in the room sat behind their laptops taking notes. They answered all of our questions, like, are you working on a calendar product, with ambiguous smirks. For our part, Emmett and I were so excited to be talking to Google that we happily spilled everything that there was to know about Kiko, including all of our future plans for products. And then we never heard from Google again. Eventually, we forgot about the meeting, until 4 months later when Google launched their beta version of Google Calendar, which was basically a much better version of what we had built at Kiko. Maybe those smirks weren't as ambiguous as I had thought. Google Calendar was a great product, but it also came packaged with email, and it turns out that users really like when their calendars work with their email. Had we talked to any of our users, we probably would have figured this out. Pretty soon after the launch of Google Calendar, our fledgling user base of early adopters, almost all of whom used Gmail, abandoned Kiko for Google Calendar. All right, guys, here are the lessons. Number 1, a deal's not done until it's actually done. If someone says they're gonna buy your company, don't get your hopes up. You've got to approach it like it's never gonna happen. Lesson number 2, don't necessarily tell people everything that's going on in your company. You've got to approach talking to other companies with a grain of salt. Things might happen, they might not. Don't tell people anything you don't want them to know if that's the last conversation you ever have with them. All right, that was the video. If you like it, bang that subscribe button for part 3. We're gonna come back at you next week with the conclusion of this story and tell you the story of how we sold Kiko on eBay.